Chapter 1. The Business of the Salvation Army. I want this to be one of the most important books you'll ever read. It's about the meaning of life. That's a presumptuous thing to say, but given the mission of the Salvation Army and the needs we sense in the business community, I'd be wasting time if I pretended to be interested in anything else. What are those needs? First and foremost, be who you say you are. The Salvation Army assumes principle-centered, people-serving approaches as natural extensions of our faith. We believe that's the way God wants us to live our lives and to relate to others. So that's the way we organize ourselves. But you don't have to take just our word that it will work for any organization. Business consultants and professors who write the most popular books and lead the most influential leadership seminars have come to some of the same conclusions from another direction, by studying what the most successful executives and companies have in common and then converting those commonalities into principles of effectiveness. Prominent among the findings in all those analyses is a correlation between high levels of success and company-wide commitments to purposes that transcend the mere material. Among the shattered myths exposed by the landmark study Built to Last, Successful Habits of Visionary Companies, James C. Collins and Jerry I. Porras zeroed in on this one. The most successful companies exist first and foremost to maximize profits. In fact, Collins and Porras argued, contrary to business school doctrine, maximizing shareholder wealth, or profit maximization, has not been the dominant driving force or primary objective through the history of visionary companies. Yes, they seek profits, but they're equally guided by a core ideology, core values, and sense of purpose beyond just making money. Collins and Porras saw little difference between for-profit visionary companies and non-profit visionary organizations. The essence of what it takes to build an enduring, great institution does not vary. Why should anyone be surprised when the principles of high-achieving people and organizations turn out to be so similar regardless of how they measure their profits? In the one world in which we all live connected to God and other humans by our common spiritual aspirations, why would we think we'd have to sacrifice our spiritual needs in order to live and work effectively? Isn't it more likely that the opposite is true, that the only way we can live and work effectively is to stop ignoring those needs and to begin honoring them? We mentioned earlier that management theorist Peter F. Drucker called the Salvation Army by far the most effective organization in the U.S. He didn't say the Army was the most effective religious organization or the most effective non-profit. He left it unqualified. Let's look at our approaches in light of Peter Drucker's 5 criteria of effectiveness. No one, he says, even comes close to the Salvation Army in respect to clarity of mission, ability to innovate, measurable results, dedication, and putting money to maximum use. Clarity of mission. The Salvation Army landed in America on March 10, 1880, 15 years after it was founded in England by William Booth. The American Expeditionary Force consisted of 8 people, 1 man, and 7 women. Their principal assets, 2 Salvation Army flags, and a conviction they shared with General Booth that the ministry they were called to serve required as much attention to the physical and social conditions of needy people as to their habits of worship, which, as it turns out, was all the founding capital the Army needed. 3 years later, the American branch of the Salvation Army had expanded from New York to New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Missouri, and California. In 1886, Grover Cleveland became the first U.S. president to receive a Salvation Army delegation in the White House. And by the end of World War I, the Salvation Army was a familiar national voice on behalf of the poor and the suffering, with supporters ranging from CEOs of some of the most powerful corporations to volunteers whose worldly goods amounted to not much more than those of the people they served. In 2012, the Salvation Army is approaching its 132nd anniversary in America. We still operate under the same name and offer our customers the same